to
Hi, I'm Janet Demeter, and I'm founder and president of Jack's Angels Foundation for Pediatric Brain Tumor Research and Advocacy for Children with Cancer. And this is September, Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and our campaign this year is I Matter. What happened to us, my son Jack was diagnosed with DIPT, which is the second most common pediatric brain tumor. It's also the deadliest cancer. There's been no change in its terminal prognosis in 50 years. I didn't know all these things when he was diagnosed. I didn't even get it that it was cancer. It was just this horrible monster. I was told that he wouldn't survive, and we had a few options that basically might help prolong his life. Radiation is one. They live about 9 months with radiation. After he died, and I had been made to feel like it was the rarest thing in the world, and this was always the excuse as to why there were no solutions for them. No, not that much active research going on. This was always the excuse. Oh, the numbers. The numbers aren't great enough for investors. I would hear from people who worked with pharmaceutical companies. And I just, how could this be? And I discovered after he died that it was the second most common brain tumor, that it was responsible for 80% of pediatric brain tumor deaths, which is the leading cause of death in kids with cancer. So how can something that is so not irrelevant, nothing's been done in 50 years. In fact, today, all of this research, almost all of it, is funded by parents, bereaved parents like myself, forming little foundations around the country, some of them bigger now, and they're together collaboratively funding the research. A few $1 million is nothing compared to what our national budget for cancer research is, and that's what comes to I Matter. These children's lives don't matter when it comes to, I'm sorry, and the reality that we experience is they don't matter with regard to our government funding for cancer research. Less than 4% goes to all pediatric cancers as a whole, and there's over 160 kinds. And so this is why you have these rare, every pediatric cancer is called a rare disease because technically it's under 200,000 incidents a year. But year in, year out, 200 to 400 kids are diagnosed. At least that number die every year for 50 years. Neil Armstrong's daughter died of it in 1962. And I'm telling you, the treatment protocol and the prognosis really haven't changed. There's some great experiments they're doing right now. It's all phase 1, never been done before, very touch and go, hit or miss. And without your support to those smaller cancer charities around the country, this research for this disease wouldn't even be happening. So I'm here to say, let your government representatives know that 4% is not acceptable for our children. I don't care if, I've heard every excuse. Can you imagine all the excuses that these the big corporate heads get up and say, oh, well, only 1% of the people in hospitals right now are kids. And what does that have to do with research? I have no idea. But we have to hear this over and over, all these excuses as to why our children's lives don't matter, and they do. Please, for the sake of our constitutional rights, for the sake of the goodness of human beings, please support Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and wear gold, because all of their lives matter. Thank you for hearing me.